Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our Center Court session on executive MBAs. We have a great panel here. And what I love about the panel is, first off, we have three incredible programs at three great business schools. But more than that, we have three very different kinds of options, which just basically goes to prove that, an executive MBA isn't exactly an executive MBA. We have hybrid options, we have weekend options, we have global options, and we'll get into that when we talk to our alums from these three great schools. Let me introduce our panelists to you right now. Philip Carter has an executive MBA from Duke's Fuqua School of Business. He is a strategic advisor and investor with VecGen Biosciences. So he has definitely got to be our quant in the group. Uh, from Georgetown.
Titles are very deceiving, John.
Okay, maybe you are a poet.
Uh,
So, and from Georgetown, McDonough, we have Mo Isaac, who's the co-founder of At Your Cyber Nerds. There's a trend here. And then from Emory Goizueta, we have LaDonna Barnes, who's a senior strategy consultant for Accenture. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. LaDonna, let's start with you. Tell us what made you decide to go and get an executive MBA and where you were in your career at that time.
Absolutely. So, to answer the second part of your question, I was an entrepreneur. I'd worked for a number of years in strategy consulting, but focusing on the government sector, kind of cost transformation, operational model design work, and was really growing, I guess, tired of the government sector a little bit and wanted to switch it up. So I looked at a couple of programs. Of course, I'm here in Atlanta with Emory, but wanted to pursue something. My mind was getting a little stagnant and a little restless, and I know I needed to just refresh and reset. And so that is really what kind of drove me. I wanted to get away from the current government sector, still loved strategy consulting, helping people grow, scale, and improve their businesses, but wanted to pivot away from that sector, and really wanted to reevaluate my skill set and sharpen my skill set, to be honest with you.
Makes total sense to me. And with that, did you end up doing a career transition of some kind?
Kind of, sort of. So I transitioned away from the government sector. So most of my clients now are in retail or consumer services. So not a lot of work in the government sector, but still working on cost transformation and op model design work, which is really what I love to do.
And I should add that LaDonna has been out for a little over 2 years. She graduated in May of 2022. Phil, what's your story?
well, in a lot of ways, it's similar to LaDonna's. You mentioned VecGen Bioscience, so I'm the founder and head of a boutique consultancy, and we partner across industries, so with biopharma, with large health systems, private equity, to advance healthcare innovation. But I grew up working for some really fantastic companies like GlaxoSmithKline and others. And I think when I started consulting, I realized just how much more there is to learn still. But more specifically, I think we've all seen this over the past few years. Business is evolving at an accelerated pace. It's becoming more globally connected and integrated, and really the lines where one industry ends and another begins are becoming very blurred. I often think, is Tesla a car company or a technology company? So this was very much an investment in building the skills to add value today, but also prepare for the future.
And Phil, you graduated when?
Recently, I think the ink is almost dry on it, but I graduated from the Global Executive MBA program at Fuqua, and also a separate designation in health sector management.
Fantastic. So this year you graduated, right?
Months ago, yeah.
Okay, terrific. And Mo, give us the lowdown on Georgetown and what sent you there.
Sure. So I own an operated cybersecurity firm called Your Cyber Nerds. It's now officially called Cybersecure Ventures. Started the business in 2017. We currently perform cyber due diligence for mergers and acquisitions and financial investments. Um, Prior to applying to Georgetown, I had already been in the workforce for over 20 years. So complete transparency, my educational journey has been pretty unconventional. I never thought in a million years I'd be a Georgetown alum, especially considering where I started. Just for context, I was born and raised in the Bronx to two teenagers who never had the chance nor resources to go to college or earn a degree. Um, but I was accepted into LaGuardia High School, which kind of shifted me out of that environment, got me out of the kind of the poverty mindset. And I was just exposed to all different kinds of people and cultures and backgrounds. Um, Essentially, fast forward, I did not want to go to college after graduating. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I was a musician, so I just kind of hunkered down in my grandmother's basement, built my own studio, performed up and down the East Coast from ages 18 to 23 in pursuit of building an audience. Ran in dead smack into my wife at 23, fell in love very quickly, had 3 kids, got a job at the post office in Brooklyn, had great health insurance and retirement options. Uh, but I proceeded to like slowly die inside because it just inhibited everything that I was and all the creativity that I knew that I had, whether in music or anything else. So by the time I was 28, I had gotten shingles, I had a heat stroke and all this stuff. So I knew I needed to get out. So essentially, my wife reconnected with her father, who was in the DC metro area. He got me a job working IT. I applied to Nova Community College in 2011 and then proceeded to pursue my education all the way up until 2023, going to UVA and then finally going to Georgetown for my MBA. So that's kind of what what brought me to Georgetown.
Wow. Do you still play an instrument?
I do. I still actively record and mix and sing to this day.
What do you
So
play?
I play piano as an instrument,
Right.
but my instrument is my voice.
Yeah. Well, piano's a great instrument to play.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk a little bit about, how you choose the right program for you. Phil, let's start with you because you had an unusual experience in the global executive MBA program, which has immersions in the Middle East, Asia, Latin America, and Europe. So you signed up for a whirlwind traveler pass. Uh,
We
what
logged a few miles, John.
what was it about the program that really made a difference for you?
Yeah, great question. A few things. I prioritized leading in the global environment. So a program that was not only focused on how business works and why in different parts of the world, but also the opportunity to be immersed in culture and really see how culture and business come together. And also being able to apply in real time the things I was learning around throughout these travels. So we'll talk more about the program, but it was very much the global focus. The second thing is, institutional reputation matters. And, Duke has a fantastic reputation for having a standard of excellence, but also this concept of Team Fuqua, as we call it. And it just speaks to the strength of the alumni community. And those two things together really made this program stand out to me.
And LaDonna, what's your answer for Emory Goizueta? Obviously, they're in your backyard. It's the best business school in your backyard. Were there other things about the program or the approach that appealed to you?
Absolutely. One of the best business programs in the country, may I add. But a lot of the same reasons as Phil. I went to Michigan undergrad. I wanted an institution whose name was as prestigious as the University of Michigan. I did consider other programs, other institutions, but not other programs. Like I knew the executive program was for me because I had already had business basics, business foundation. I'd been, running a business. So I knew the executive program was for me. But I wanted to be somewhere that was competitive, that was still going to push me with a lot of prestige. And the icing on the cake for me for Goizueta, I did a site visit and I sat in on one of the classes. And afterwards, I talked to one of the admissions counselors, and I said, I'm not sure if Goizueta is the right place for me. It's not as diverse. I don't see a lot of people of color, and I don't see a lot of women. And the program was extremely honest and forthcoming with me. They told me they recognized it as a problem, but then they told me what they were doing to address it. And I felt completely comfortable at that point. And I'm happy to say that when I joined in the fall of 2020, I saw the difference. So I saw the diversity. There were more women, there were more minorities in my class than I'd seen before. So just appreciating the authenticity and the honesty of Goizueta.
Now Goizueta has actually three different options for their executive MBA. They have the in-person option. They have
Mhm.
a hybrid, which is 50-50, half online, half in person with, I think it's 3 residential weekends per semester. And then they have 100% online with optional on-campus residencies
Right.
or immersions. Which one did you take?
So I took the fully in-person route, and when I started, there was no fully remote option. It was just the hybrid, and it was the full time. And it was interesting because it was fall of 2020. So we all know what was happening at that point. It was COVID, right? But the in-person option, I would say, brought me so much closer to my colleagues, my classmates now. Emory did an exceptional job of ensuring our safety. You know, we wore masks in class every day. Like if you did not have on your mask, you do not come to class. We got tested continuously, and we only had maybe 1 or 2 cases of COVID during that time. But it was just great to be in person. Most of our professors were in person unless they had some pre-existing conditions, but it was great to be in person. And I will say, those colleagues who were in the hybrid program, a lot of them expressed that they wish they would have spent more time in person, because the in-person group seemed to be a lot more close than the hybrid group. So I'm one of those people that needs in-person interaction. I think there's value in talking to people, and being in a room with people and actually seeing people. So that was the option that was best for me and a lot of my colleagues.
That's great. Now, Mo, I'm assuming Georgetown made sense for you because you're located in the DC metro area, right?
Absolutely. And I also wanted to attend a school that had a strong brand, strong reputation, and, one of the best of the best. So, I really wanted to be in a room with people who are smarter than me. I wanted to grow. Additionally, I wanted to choose a program that would provide the broadest business experience possible. For me specifically, I work in a very specific field, cybersecurity, and I understood that cybersecurity is a global issue. So I wanted to be in a program that exposed me to global business problems, to expand my knowledge and problem solving capabilities, on a global scale. And it was important for me to understand how to deal with different governments, international businesses, global cultures, et cetera, because I knew that would make me into a better business owner.
And the structure of the Georgetown program is alternating in-person weekends, right?
Yes, alternating in-person weekends. So every other weekend we would spend Fridays and Saturdays together.
And then I think you have 3 domestic immersions and 2 international week-long immersions, right?
Yes, all of them were very challenging and fun.
I bet. So let's talk a little bit about, what the surprises were. What surprised you most about the program, Philip?
John, I was keen to tell you about the global program at Duke and how it works. I think it's part of what makes it so special.
Totally.
Um, so a bit on that just quickly, because I think it is
Sure.
important. So what was really fantastic about this particular program is, in addition to the traditional courses that you would expect in any MBA program, there was an emphasis on leadership, and there was a leadership thread that ran throughout. So we had formal development program on leadership, and really, secondly, the focus on the global element and becoming immersed in these different markets. And the way this particular program is set up is you have 7 terms, and in the center of each is a 10-day international residency in a different region around the world. And bookending that, call it 4 weeks on either side, it's a hybrid model where we're studying remotely. And so it is essentially full-time in a lot of ways, but you do get the benefit of concentrating your efforts for about 10 days. And what's also neat about it, John, is the makeup of the group. They're not just diverse in their backgrounds, but literally geographically. We would all come together for these events, and otherwise people were living around the world. So.
And you start with like a 2-week orientation on campus in Durham, right?
That's exactly right. Two weeks orientation, which is really the wake-up call where you realize we're here now and this is really happening. But again, I think the idea is to very much mimic the global business environment. We're traveling around the world. We're on teams with diverse groups who are situated around the world, et cetera. So what surprised me about the program? I think really that it's about so much more than academics. It's very much about the time that you spend with these amazingly talented people all around you. And it starts to shape your perspective and in a very positive way. So you become more culturally aware. And I think you also start to realize that there are more similarities than differences in the problems we're trying to solve across various industries. So I've spent my career in one lane, healthcare, primarily in biopharma, and realized that folks working in completely different industries are working to tackle a lot of the same problems. And I was very surprised and enlightened. And
even when you went abroad.
absolutely. Yeah. Around the world. Look, we're at the end of the day, policy and regulation, as we've heard from LaDonna, culture and economics, so many different factors, but these things affect all businesses in a region.
Right.
Whether you're Apple or Google or a consultancy in biotech. So hearing how other executives and leaders are working to solve the problems in their businesses was very enlightening, and I think had practical application back on the job.
And I should mention that Fuqua also has an option here. In addition to the global executive MBA program, they have a more traditional weekend executive MBA version as well. So there are 2 versions at Duke and 3 at Emory, and then you have the one at Georgetown. So, LaDonna, let's talk a little bit about what the surprise was for you in entering the program and going through it.
So I would say, I have to say 2 things really surprised me. One was the availability of my professors.
Oh.
So Emory, I would say, and I can only speak for my experience at Emory, a lot of my professors didn't need to be teaching. They were retired from other roles, other very high performing C-suite roles, and they really put a lot into us. They wanted us to learn. They wanted us to get the concepts. And they really took it a step further by opening up their personal networks to us. And right now, I can call any of my professors and ask for a reference, ask for a contact, ask for somebody, to help me with something. So that was really surprising to me. The other thing I would say that really surprised me was the diversity of backgrounds from my classmates. I had doctors in my classes, or in my cohort, I should say. I had, other consultants, other entrepreneurs. I had one of my closest classmates was a senior editor at Food and Wine magazine. And so it just really helped us to pick up on each other's strengths and weaknesses. So where someone may have been, not as great in accounting or math, then they were excellent in marketing. And it really helped us not only forge relationships, but build, I would say, long-lasting lifetime bonds.
Yeah, that's great. Now, Mo, what was a big surprise for you?
Yeah, very similar to LaDonna. So, the professors were really great. They made themselves available. They were excellent, but they were still a step removed from the intimate relationships within the cohort. What's really surprised me the most during my time at Georgetown was how much I would have to depend on my cohort members to get through the program, not just intellectually, but emotionally as well. we all understood immediately. And the way the program is really designed is everyone has to carry their own weight as individuals for the greater good of the team. If there's one person that's failing or one person that's not giving the effort, then it sacrifices the efforts of the entire team. So learning to ask for help, leaning on other classmates' knowledge about a particular subject, figuring out how my expertise could contribute to the team's overall success. During the program, there's so much information being hurled at you, so many classes, projects, deadlines, you just can't do it on your own. So you have to learn to be vulnerable. You have to ask for help. And again, that's made me into a better entrepreneur, because now when I'm collaborating with other business owners, I'm always looking for people that can cover my blind spot so that I can focus on what I'm good at. Putting together those puzzle pieces and building a team in a way that allows everyone to shine. So that's
a really good
that's what I
takeaway.
was surprised about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good takeaway. So one of the questions I like to ask people who've been through programs, which to me tells you a lot about, what's really popular, what people most enjoyed, and what is also most memorable. I'll ask people, what are the 3 things that will stay with you about the program, really for the rest of your life? And Mo, since we're on you, let's go to you first. What are the 3 hallmarks of the program that meant a lot to you?
There's so many more than 3. There's so many more. I'm gonna break the rules and I'm gonna quickly do. If I go over 3,
Go
then
for it.
I'll make it fast. Okay, number 1. So we had so many great experiences at Georgetown. So number 1 would be our rowing race on the Potomac at the very beginning of our program. So essentially, we were split into about 8 teams, and each team had to work together to get into a rhythm and row in sync and actually win the race. So now we're on the Potomac. We didn't really know each other at the time, and so we were forced to work as a team under all of this pressure. And that was a great experience. So number 2, I think would have to be our opening residency, where we essentially had to become experts of the wireless services industry in one weekend. And we had to compete with other teams to be judged on who performed the best research and had the best presentation. Super exciting, high pressure. We learned so much from each other. Number 3, definitely our global residency in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Amazing experience for so many reasons. Too much to go into, but that would be number 3. Number 4 would have to be our global capstone project, where my team and I had a chance to go to Tel Aviv, Israel, and work with venture capital firms and cybersecurity focused startups. That was amazing. Honestly, the global experience was so life changing that it's kind of hard to it's hard to know where to begin. But we created lifetime memories together. And then number 5, just the last one, would be just the relationship with my cohort members. That's like the biggest highlight of the entire Georgetown experience.
Yeah, those are great things. And Phil, I'm guessing there's going to be some overlap here, given all the global immersions that you did. What are your three hallmark things about the program that will resonate for a long time?
It's so similar. I mean, it really starts with the people, and you're surrounded by fantastic, dedicated people, and you really grow together over the course of a couple of years. And there's nothing like being thrown into an immersive experience and traveling around the world to really get to know people. And we talk about cultural awareness. So much of that awareness comes outside of the classroom, spending time with people from around the world and learning about their backgrounds. And it's very enriching. The second thing is just that the perspective that's gained from that journey that allows you to be more effective in your day-to-day business, right? Because we all work on global teams. We're connected in ways that we've never been. And you just start to see that transferability. That the Fuqua network that I mentioned and the support, it's very much like LaDonna said, not just the alumni, but the faculty go above and beyond to be supportive up to and beyond graduation. So I could go on, but sounds like so many similarities, 3 great programs, just different formats here.
Yeah, it's so true. LaDonna, your 3 things?
So as my other 2 colleagues here have stated, definitely the global trip for us. It wasn't just about, we went to Portugal and we went to Barcelona. It wasn't just about, taking, a trip to these beautiful countries. It was really about applying what we had learned throughout the course of our studies to a different atmosphere and in different industries. And there were projects involved with those as well. But it was really eye-opening to see business concepts applied on an international scale. So that's one. I would say the second thing that's unique to Emory, we do a leadership reaction course down at Fort Benning in Georgia, Army base down in Columbus, Georgia. And that course is really focused on developing and building leadership skills. So we're very much, for lack of better words, in the trenches, doing exercises and drills that a lot of our servicemen and women do, and really keying in and learning different people's leadership styles, how you can be supportive to your classmates as leaders, and then when it's your turn to step up and lead, how you really receive support from your teammates. So that was it was a grueling day, but very eye-opening experience just in terms of leadership. And
It's
then
like a boot camp, isn't it? Like a boot camp?
it's like a
I've
boot
been
camp.
down I've been down there to experience that Emory immersion. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So you know exactly what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
You
Definitely.
got to climb a wall. You got to do all kinds of crazy
You have
things.
to climb a wall. You have to, figure out very creative ways to solve problems, but it's really focused on you as a leader. And then just to bring it all home, I would say the last experience that really sticks out to me is my capstone project as well. It was really focused on being a consultant, which I am. So I was able to deliver a very high quality project for Porsche Cars USA. And my team came out on top of all of our classmates.
Gotta
Not
love that.
Gotta love it. We did have two consultants on the team, but but it was just a very good culmination of all of our hard work and dedication to the program.
Now, when I think of people who are all like you, but before the experience, and they're considering this option about an executive MBA, there are two things that may hold them back. One is, oh my God, how can I do this? I have a demanding job. I've got a family. I've got all these personal responsibilities. My work is kind of unforgiving at times, all consuming. And now I'm going to add this to it. How am I going to manage it? That's one issue that I think holds back a lot of people from this experience. The second thing is the cost. You look at the price tag and you say, oh my God, that's a lot of money. So my two questions to all of you are, how did you manage the work-life balance issues? And then how did you overcome any resistance that you may have had about the price tag for the program? And in retrospect, do you have any remorse about that? LaDonna, we're with you. Let's start with you.
Zero remorse. Let me just
All right,
start.
I love to hear that.
No remorse at all. The price tag was a sticker shock. And I'm going to say I'm one of those people who hates debt. I do not like owing people. I do not like bills. I have lived my life that way and been very strategic with financial decisions that I've made. And so that was the price tag was a sticker shock, to say the least. But it was something that I wanted. And I knew that it would propel me in my career and get me to the next level. And it has completely paid off, which is why I have zero regrets. I think embarking on an MBA, especially an executive MBA, you have to have support and buy-in from the people around you. And that includes your family, that includes your employer. Just really getting them to understand what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, and making sure that you are fully supported so that when you have those late night sessions, when you have to go off on a global trip for 7 to 10 days, that they understand and that there's a plan in place to take away the responsibilities that you're supposed to be doing. So I think that is one of the key components. I would say if you're thinking about an executive MBA, first of all, just do it. But second of all, make sure you have buy-in from your board of directors and those people around you who help to support you, not only in your personal, but also your professional life as well.
Yep. Now, Mo, earlier on you mentioned your wife, who played an important role in your life and your kids. How did you balance all that when you're doing the program?
It's amazing how similar our experiences and perspectives are on all of this. Donna had it exactly right. I mean, for me, like work-life balance was really a challenge. One of the things that really helped me specifically was that I already had quite a few years of practice, having been in school since 2011. So by the time I applied and was accepted into Georgetown, I had already exercised that muscle to the point where it just felt kind of natural. Um, that said, there was a major difference between my time at NBC and Northern Virginia Community College and UVA and my time at Georgetown. That was the social aspect. I can't emphasize how important it is to pour into your cohort and like make those connections early and often, because your cohort relationships are the real prize that you take away from the EMBA program. In regards to my wife, something I got right, and I'm so grateful that I did, was to include my wife early on into the social dynamics at Georgetown.
Right.
There's a certain level of enhanced support that I received from my wife because she was familiar with the people I was spending all of this time with. She was taking care of the children pretty much by herself a lot of the time. And I think what saved us and sustained us was that my wife never felt left behind, or she never felt like she wasn't a part of the process. Because honestly, without her support, I wouldn't have been able to get through the program. And then the price tag question, it's one of those things where it's an investment. You get in, you receive what you put in. I'm a firm believer in your network is determines your net worth. If it seems like a high price tag if you're not willing to put in the work and make those connections, so that it really is nothing in the grand scheme of what you can achieve with your cohort in the future. But yeah, you get in, you get back what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so true. Phil, now you had a kind of a different experience because you had all these international immersions. They were all a week long. You have the 2 week upfront piece with the orientation on campus. And then I believe at the end of the program, you also have another 2 weeks on campus for electives, if I'm right. So that's a
Two
lot
of
of weeks
those.
away. That's a lot of weeks away. How did that work out for you?
It's as has been said, it is a full team effort. And I feel like the family, the friends, my amazing wife, everyone should get an honorary degree who is along for the ride. But yeah, if you come home and the dog starts growling at you, you know you've been gone too long. Let's just put it that way, John. But you learn how to prioritize. We're all busy. Life is a prioritization exercise. You start to learn how to prioritize and balance. Make sure you have time to get the work done, but also carve some boundaries out for family, and you make it work. And you share as much of this as you can with those around you along the way, so they feel like they're part of the journey, and it's very enriching. In terms of the financial commitment, very much an investment. And if you think about it, when's the best time to invest in your future, build the skills to be relevant and add value at the next level, whatever that is for you, it's always going to be right now. You're never going to be less busy than you are now. But the sooner you make that commitment, the sooner you can start to realize all the amazing things that come with the sacrifice.
Now, Phil, I just got to tell you, if I told my wife, I'm going to spend a week in Europe, a week in the Middle East, a week in Latin America, and a week over here and there, she might not be too happy with me. But you obviously have a very understanding wife.
I think she also, I do. She's very supportive, but I think she also appreciated these were not vacation trips, John. I mean,
Totally.
we would come home from these just ragged from being fully immersed. You were in class from 8 to 10 hours a day, and then you have your team meetings well into the evening. If you're lucky, you can keep some of the distractions from back home out, but more than likely, you're going to get a call or two from an employer or a colleague So they were very much like business trips. And ultimately, I think she's happy she wasn't along for some of those.
Now, Phil, I wonder if you could identify the most beneficial thing you got from the program that, in fact, you use today, tomorrow in your daily work life.
The number one thing is leadership agility.
Hmm.
And I think, I grew up in a certain type of organization, pharma and biotech, particularly in commercial businesses. And there's a pretty standard prototype of team member that you work with. When you start working on multinational teams for people who are working in different functions and different types of around the world, you realize that leadership is not a one size fits all approach. Sometimes it's important to be the first one to speak up to get the conversation started. Sometimes it's important to be the last one to speak up. I think that agility and being able to learn to flex my style more depending on the situation was something that this environment allowed me to do in a safe way and bring it back to the work that I do now, which means working with lots of different types of clients and partners from, businesses that are quite different than the one that I grew up in a lot of ways.
Mo, how about you? What's the most beneficial thing you got from the program?
The most beneficial thing I learned while in business school is vulnerability. So the nature of my early life as like a child and a teenager required that I become fiercely independent because I couldn't depend on anyone for anything, right? This fierce independence spilled over into my adult years, and it got to the point where I actually didn't know how to ask for help, and it ended up hurting me and hurting my business because no one is successful alone, right? So I wanted to force myself into a situation where I was in a room with people much smarter than me, people who knew a bunch of things that I didn't know, so that I would be forced to ask for help. And that's an example of like you shift into this state of independence to a state of interdependence where it's like I feel like it's like the third and final stage of our journey as humans to learn how to depend on others and learn where your strengths fit so that you can work together as a team. Um, in business, if you want to scale, you have to know how to ask for help. In life, if you want to have real, lasting, and fulfilling relationships, you have to learn how to be vulnerable. So not only did my time at Georgetown make me a better business owner, it made me a better person and it made me actually better at relationships.
I love these two answers because it's not, oh, I learned accounting or statistics or marketing or strategy or operations or any of that. It's stuff that really goes across all the disciplines and goes to the heart of who you are as an individual and a leader. Um, Now, LaDonna, how about you? What's the most beneficial thing you took from the program?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned marketing and accounting and strategy, and I would say those things, while great, were the
Table stake.
icing. Yeah, they were good to put in the mix. But for me, I've always been a leader. I've always been the one to step up, to speak first. But Emory really taught me how to be an executive. I think the E in EMBA just says it all. They taught me not only executive presence and what that really, really, really means, but really how to lead teams, to think like an executive, and to make executive level decisions. I'd, run my business before and did pretty well doing that and made a lot of contacts and connections. But I think Emory really took it over. Not think, I know Emory really took me over the humps in terms of making me into a true executive.
Mm. That's, I think, an often overlooked part of MBA programs, professional development,
Yes.
and personal development. Because I
Yeah.
think, you just assume, okay, an MBA is going to be like any other degree. You learn about your subjects. But in fact, there is a tremendous amount of personal growth that occurs when you're in this program. And most of it occurs because of your peers, right? I mean,
I-
you learn tremendous amounts from your peers who become, on some level, sometime mentors, certainly
mhm.
friends, advisors, maybe even your informal board of directors for your own personal management now. which is an incredible benefit of a great MBA program. Okay, there are other people out there who are watching this and will watch this over a long period of time who are thinking, wow, how do I know that the executive MBA is for me? And if I had the chance to ask these folks some questions, what I would want most of all is their advice. What should I be thinking about? What should I be considering? How do I know that this is the right time to do the program? LaDonna, let's start with you.
I think the first thing that you need to have clear in your mind is what's the next step on your journey? Where do you want to go in your career and what do you need to get there? I think that has to be clear so that you can truly invest in the program and invest in yourself as we've heard both Mo and Phil mention earlier. It's a self-investment. So being clear on where you are, where you want to go, and what you need to get there. Second, I think you need to do the research. You need to figure out which program is best for you and which format is best for you. We've heard, here today that all three of our programs have varying formats. So you have to know the type of learner you are and what program is going to be most beneficial to you, your learning style, and the skill set that you want to develop. And then lastly, I think you have to know what you're going to contribute to the program. A lot of people come in or seemingly think that, maybe you're past prime for an MBA, or you may not have as much to offer. But as I mentioned before, my colleagues in my class were so diverse from a myriad of backgrounds, and everybody has something to bring to the table. So just being confident in you may not know the pluses and minuses of accounting. There's someone in your cohort, in your class, that can help you along. It's not an individual journey, it's a group journey. But just knowing that the executive MBA can get you on the path to where you want to go next.
Mo, what's your advice?
Well, the first thing that I can think about is, check your ego at the door if you're going to be a part of this program, because it really doesn't have a place in this program. If you really want the best out of an MBA or an executive MBA specifically from any one of these prestigious and amazing schools, you have to understand that everyone is smart, right? Everyone is accomplished in one way or another in your cohort. But once you step inside that building, everyone is equal and we all need each other to succeed. And I think that is one of the biggest lessons that I took away from my experience at Georgetown is, the word leader is a very humble, you have to be a very humble person to be a leader. You have to really understand the equality and equity in terms of everyone that's in the room, because the only way to be a good leader is to listen and speak less and listen more, so that you understand your team and that you're able to allow everyone to shine. So I would just say, check your ego at the door.
Love it. Phil, what's your advice?
I would say, so once they hear what Mo and LaDonna just shared, they're going to commit. So my advice is, once you commit, fully immerse yourself. As it was well said, check your ego at the door, be vulnerable, fully immerse yourself in the journey, learn all that you can, say yes to everything, build relationships, and importantly, take this back to whatever you're doing, and apply it real time and let those around you know that you're making an effort to apply these things real time, so that they're a part of your journey and a part of your development. I think, as has been said, folks would say, well, why now? And usually when they say now, they're thinking, well, you've already had a fantastic career. Why would you want to do this now? And it's very much about building the skills for the future. The other thing they're saying, well, why now? You have so much going on. If you have momentum in your career and you're even thinking about this, you're probably not going to be less busy later. So for all of those reasons, now's the best time to invest in yourself. It will enrich you professionally and personally. And I vote for Team Fuqua.
There you go. Okay.
I knew I could get a rise out of Mo, and these are fantastic schools. I think you can't go wrong with the caliber.
You, you can't go wrong.
Now,
No,
come
totally.
basketball season, Mo, that's a very different story.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
we'll keep in touch.
I love it. I love it.
I prefer football, but
There
Okay.
you go.
All
Hey,
right.
it's been a real pleasure. LaDonna, Mo, and Phil, thank you so much. And I just want to remind everyone of the incredible flexibility and choice here. So, Georgetown has a 21-month program. It's alternating weekends, in person and online, with 3 domestic immersions and 2 international immersions. Duke has 2 different options. The one that Phil took, the Global Executive MBA, with all those incredible immersions in all the different continents, as well as a weekend executive MBA that they put on in person and online as well. And then Emory has 3 options: your in-person option, the one that LaDonna took, your hybrid 50-50 online and in person, and then 100% online with some on-campus options. So plenty to choose from, plenty to think about. And the big takeaway for me is Phil Morris and LaDonna have no remorse. The price tag didn't bother them. They think they got their value out of it. And more importantly, they were able to balance their responsibilities with their family and with their professional duties, and still come out on the other side very happy and fulfilled. So thank you for that. And for all of you out there, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.